Tonight, every night from 11 p.m.
The Daily Mail now, Josh, and pub landlords have to worry about more than the optics when it comes to offensive banter,
This is a really big story and important. Pub landlords could have to become banter cops to stop themselves being sued by staff offended by comments from customers under workers' rights reform. So, Labour, when they were part of their election process, they were like, we're going to reform workers' rights, and that all sounds good on paper, but there were issues in terms of how might it affect employees and fear from employees costing them more money. One of these things that they're sort of pushing through, though, is that in the Equality Act of 2010, part of the issue was that if you were offended at work or someone said something sexist or racist, something that affected you, the employer had to take some sort of, they had three chances to kind of take action. Now, the employer has to should have taken action already. So employees can sue employers. Now, this has a big impact on us because we're comics and we perform in venues. And if some of the bar staff hear a joke that they don't like, then they can sue their employer, potentially, under this legislation.
So it's not punters?
Well, also, it could be like you're at a bar and some bloke is like, oh, I like that top, or whatever. That's not good behaviour. But the point is now that employee could sue their employer.
So, because, I mean, the sort of scenario I was imagining was that a barmaid was being maybe sexually harassed or
That's
something.
what they're focusing in this article, but other articles have gone down the free speech route. And also venues and universities having lectures. We saw it at, in Edinburgh Fringe Festival and Sadowitz. He had a show cancelled not because of any punters, but because two of the 18-year-olds were working. They were upset by his
There was
winning.
a bar in Brighton, wasn't there? There was a story we covered a few weeks ago. A bar in Brighton threw some people out because...
exactly. They had turfs on the...
Turfs.
GB News, the People's Channel.
Hi there, I'm Michelle Dewberry, and I'm going to take a second to tell you all about my show, Dubes & Co. We start off with the issues of the day. We then bring in both sides of the arguments. We get rid of the disrespect. And then you throw me into the mix. And trust me, I'll tell it exactly how it is. And then, of course, the magic ingredient, you at home. We mix it all together, and what have we got? In my opinion, the best debate show in town. Monday to Friday, 6 till 7 on GB News, Britain's news channel.
Good evening, it's 11 o'clock. These are your headlines from the GB Newsroom. Conservative leadership candidates Robert Jenrick and Kemi Badenoch have made their pitches to Tory members tonight. Speaking on the GB News Tory members debate special, Robert Jenrick addressed terrorism, foreign aid, the Chagos Islands and Nigel Farage. But his main focus was on immigration, repeating his call for leaving the European Convention on Human Rights.
Is not just another issue amongst many. It is the issue which explains why our party is where it is right now. It's the reason that we lost 4 million of our people to reform at the general election, and millions more who decided to stay at home. You know who those people are whose trust we lost. And we've got to get them back. If we don't get them back home to our party, we'll never be in government again.
Meanwhile, his leadership rival, Kemi Badenoch, started by saying she's an engineer who can fix the broken system and renew the Tory party. She focused on the NHS, law and order, and defended reports she was difficult to work with, saying, "I'm somebody who defends other people from bullies." Miss Badenoch also said she would not allow Nigel Farage into the Tory party if she became leader. Like Jenrick, she also addressed immigration, saying she would consider leaving the ECHR, but only with caution.
I think that the ECHR argument is not the right one. I think that is the biggest weakness. I think it will divide our party. It will mean that the infighting and squabbling will continue. If we want to end the drama, we need to do this the right way. Let's come to a consensus. And maybe that is leaving the ECHR, but it is not about imposing your views on everybody else.
In other news, Israel has confirmed it has killed Hamas leader Yahya Sinwar in Gaza. Israel's Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu has said evil has suffered a heavy blow, but Israel's task is not complete following his death. Meanwhile, the Prime Minister, Sir Keir Starmer, says the UK will not mourn his death and called for a release of all hostages. 62-year-old Sinwar is believed to be the architect of the October 7th attack on Israel that ignited the current conflict. And Liam Payne's One Direction bandmates have said they are completely devastated by the news of his death, adding the memories we shared will be with him and treasured forever. Liam Payne died at the age of 31 after falling from the third floor of a hotel balcony. It comes as police in Buenos Aires say they found total disorder in his hotel room, while a series of substances were seized, indicating previous situation of alcohol and drug consumption. Fans have gathered outside the hotel in Buenos Aires, where he died, in a visual to pay tribute to the music icon. Those are the latest GB News headlines. Now it's time for Headliners.
For the very latest GB News direct to your smartphone, sign up to News Alerts by scanning the QR code or go to gbnews.com/alerts.
Hello and welcome to Headliners. This is your first and last look at Friday's newspapers with three comedians. I'm Andrew Doyle. Joining me tonight, Miss Scotland 2022, Leo Kearse, and Mr. Universe every year, as far as I'm concerned. It's Josh Howie. You do have a kind of raw sexual magnetism, Josh, which everyone comments on. All the emails, all the tweets, that's all they ever talk about.
It's incessant.
Yeah, it must be pretty boring for you.
I was over it a long time ago.
Yeah.
I've just been used to being treated differently, and I try and be magnanimous about it.
Yes.
Thank you.
And from one beauty to another. How are you, Leo?
I'm good, thanks.
Yeah? Nothing more to say?
No.
No, well, you were Miss Scotland, so...
You know what, could be. I could be under the SNP's government. I could be a beautiful woman in Scotland.
No reason why you shouldn't
Also compared to other Scottish women.
That's a slander.
That's outrageous.
That only applies to
So
Dundee.
we've started the show by alienating every single Scottish viewer. So we'll move on. Let's have a look at those front pages. The Daily Telegraph is leading with Israel kills Hamas leader. The Daily Mail has record label dumped Liam before fatal drugs binge. The Daily Express has pension cash-in panic at Labour budget tax rises. The Eye has got UK public service cuts in budget. Labour ministers accuse Number 10 of complacency. And the Metro also running with a Liam Payne story. And finally, the Daily Star also with a Liam Payne story. Those are your front pages. OK, we're going to have a look at the front pages, and we're going to start with Friday's Daily Mail. Leo Kearse has the details.
So, yes, there's a bit of an update about the context of Liam Payne's death. So, his record label dumped Liam before fatal drugs binge. I mean, it's a bit unfair than drugs to say that it was a fatal drugs binge. I think it was more the fall that killed him than the drugs. And they've got a photo there of some of the... Apparently, his hotel room was left in disarray. There's, you can see there's a lot of foil there. He'd eaten a lot of Easter eggs that evening, and also a bar of Dove soap. I don't know if there was some sort of mistranslation when he was dealing with an Argentinian dealer who gave him that instead of soap bar.
You should never be a CSI investigator. I don't think you'd work this out correctly. I think what actually happened was he was, from the look of it, he was incredibly depressed about being dumped by his label.
Yeah.
Went on a big binge. And that's the extent of what we know, though, isn't it?
I think you're just counting 1 + 1 and making 2 out of it.
Yeah, that's what I tend to do.
Oh, OK, fine. I mean, I'm glad that we're covering the story. I was a bit jealous last night. Our colleagues, they got to spend a whole hour on it, and I was like, I want to have that opportunity.
Are you a fan of One Direction?
I hadn't heard of them until, but I thought they did amicably well.
Not an expert then.
But this is the thing: is like, does this mean that I'm old?
Yeah.
Or is it?
You're out of touch.
The first one.
Is it that I'm old now?
I think it's just that you've got to accept. You can reach a point in your life.
Because I'm not
accept.
getting the whole thing. I get that he was something for some people, but I just have no connection.
Well, it's obviously tragic when anyone dies at that age.
Yes,
it's a horrible thing to happen.
It reminds me of Caroline Flack. You know, the same sort of pressures of fame, and also people being mean to him on the internet, and also, you know, young white men. We're seeing a rise in suicides in young white men who, you know, don't get a lot of love from the media, don't get a lot of love from society. You know, never open a newspaper and see, you know, it's okay to be white, except in the context of somebody's been sent to jail for saying it's okay to be white. So, and also, I mean, he wasn't just some boy band dancer. He actually he was really involved in the production, really involved in the songwriting.
Is that right?
So, yeah, that's what I found out looking on Wikipedia. I'd never heard of him before then.
You never heard of him either?
I was impressed there, Leo.
I thought that was impressive.
Like, this is the most emotional you've been in 3 years on Headliners.
No, Leo's not capable of emotion. Let's not be silly about it. Let's move on to the front cover of The Guardian. Josh, what are they leading with?
Well, this is someone I've heard of. And,
but you're not a fan, are you?
I'm not a fan of his,
No.
and I'm super duper happy. And this guy did not get to sleep with Cheryl Cole. Mastermind of Hamas attacks on Israel is killed by IDF.
And that's now been confirmed, has it?
That has been confirmed. His dental records have been
Okay.
compared, and they've also done super quick DNA check.
Yes.
He must have had no face.
Yeah, well, he had no top of his head.
Oh, right.
Yeah.
My understanding, though, was that it wasn't due to intelligence gathering. It was basically luck.
Luck, yeah. And it was a trainee squad as well.
Really?
They had reports of terrorists in this building. They lobbed in a few tank missiles and went in like,
Basically,
here
you blow up enough schools, eventually you're going to get...
Now, explain this to me, but my understanding about
schools
this...
that are reappropriated as...
Yeah.
This Sinwar guy, from my understanding, Leo, you might be able to fill me in on this. Apparently, he was one of the ones who was let out in an exchange for one Israeli soldier back in the day for 1,000 Palestinian prisoners, most of them murderers and the like.
Yeah.
And this kind of just goes to show that maybe that kind of exchange, it doesn't always pay off.
Yeah, well, I mean, he's been involved in Hamas and in terrorism. He grew up in the Gaza Strip. He was born in a refugee camp. Did Arabic studies. You know, he was pretty committed to being a terrorist. And yeah, my heart just goes out to Queers for Palestine. He was probably one of their favourite billionaire terrorists.
Was he gay as well?
He wasn't gay. In fact, he'd kill you if you're gay. Well,
right.
He'd kill you.
Maybe he was self-hating.
But you never know. You never know. It's always worth speculating on these things.
Yeah.
So ultimately, this change... I mean, well, does it change everything?
Well, the immediate thing is, you know, Israel wants its hostages back. As you just said, they were willing to exchange one Israeli for 1,000 terrorists, which is what they did. So
Does this make it less or more likely, though, that the hostages will...
Well, you would hope that they would... the Hamas members that are left would this would take the wind out of their sails and think, OK, well, maybe now we can get to a place of negotiation and surrender. I'm not sure, because you're dealing with a bunch of mental Islamist nut jobs. I like The Guardian here have chosen the one photo where he doesn't... I mean, he's not an attractive man.
No.
And I can say this as an attractive man.
Yeah, you know.
He is not. And they've somehow chosen the one slightly attractive photo. All the other...
Do you fancy him?
No, not from this photo. But the point is, all the other photos have got him, like, the Times got him holding a kid with a Kalashnikov.
Yeah, this is the only vaguely photogenic photo that's ever been taken of this man. Yeah. Of course, they wouldn't do that for a Conservative Party candidate. You'd be pretty damn sure of that.
No.
What about the UK perception? I mean, Leo, I couldn't help but notice the other day there was an event to mourn the passing of the leader of Hezbollah on the streets of London, which the police said was absolutely fine. My understanding is actually illegal to praise and promote a terrorist organisation. Are we going to have the same thing with this guy?
Well, it might be illegal, but it's actually very fashionable, and we'll definitely see this guy being mourned by a bunch of students with keffiyehs on who have really got no clue about this conflict. I think this conflict is being painted in a very sort of, Robin Hood versus the baddies kind of simplistic way, and also I think in Britain we've got the luxury of being so removed from it.
Yes.
I think if it was happening on our doorstep, they won't be in Saudi Arabia and Jordan and all these places.
Yeah.
They don't allow any glorification of Palestinians, and they don't allow any Palestinian refugees to enter anymore, especially since they tried to overthrow the Jordanian leadership.
We've got to move on now to the front cover of The Telegraph. Leo, anything new on that?
So Labour is sending 100 party staff to help the Democrats win the US election. This is another Labour jolly.
Is that a photo of one of the activists?
That is...
no, that's Sinwar. That's Sinwar. OK, fine.
Could well be.
I mean, it's tricky to tell sometimes.
They'll be dressed the same.
He's much uglier in that photo.
Well, quite, and he's got a massive gun.
Yeah.
OK, so Labour... Now, here's what I would suggest about this. If Labour are sending over party members to help the Democrats win, and then the Democrats don't win, doesn't that slightly sour the relationships that special relationship between the government of America and the UK.
Well, yeah, absolutely. I mean, Keir Starmer just had a sit-down with Donald Trump where they were quite nice and polite about each other. So, you know, what's this going to mean for our trade deals in the future? We know that, you know, Trump can occasionally be slightly emotive and petulant.
A little bit.
So is that what we want to do? And also, how about worrying about Britain? Instead of sending 100 Labour Party staff to help the US Democrats win in America, how about doing something for the people in Britain who elected you and probably regret it right now?
Yeah, sounds crazy to me, Josh.
Yeah, no,
What
they
do you
could be
think?
cleaning up roundabouts.
Is that sort of thing?
I mean, we could always use an extra 100 bodies out there doing stuff. So, yeah, it is ridiculous. But that's Labour for you, seemingly.
But what are they thinking? Seriously, I mean, I don't know. It's pure speculation as far as I can see. I mean, I understand ideologically why they're more on board with the Democrats, but surely they have to work with whoever wins.
I just think 100 of them want a party. They want to go out.
Yeah.
It's going to be they can have a lot more fun in America, like polling and doing all that kind of stuff.
They probably missed the Taylor Swift concert.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, well, that's it. There's actually a really interesting story in the bottom corner. Video games are better for the brain than exercise. This is proof now.
What?
Like, playing Grand Theft Auto is better than getting exercise. It will give you a brain like 10 years younger.
Oh, for goodness sake.
And that's the true story. So, anyway, the point is, this is good.
Yeah, but you don't exercise your brain, do you?
You do. It's focus.
You know what's better for exercising the brain, Josh? Reading books. Do that instead of Grand
they haven't
Theft
got that
Auto.
study.
Well, I don't think you need a study to work that out. And by the way, you still haven't finished my book, have you?
Yeah, because I've been playing Grand Theft Auto.
It's taking you longer to read it than me to write it.
When I finish Grand Theft Auto, my brain will be so powerful I will be able to make it through your prose.
Unbelievable. OK, right. Well, finally, very quickly, the Daily Star. Josh, what's this?
Morley and Payne, everybody!
The man's died. Come on, Josh.
OK, no, I mean, I know our audience want a bit more. I just want a bit more. I just want to say the Daily Star, they're doing an 8-page picture pull-out. I just thought it was important that our viewers knew that so they could go out, wake up early, get a copy before it sells out.
Well, at least they're not doing something about boffins, which is the normal steer for the Daily Star. Well, look, that's the front page is out of the way, but coming up in part 2, popularity ratings, crime figures, and the Dutch plan to deal with failed asylum seekers. Don't go anywhere.
This is GB News, Britain's news channel.
We are now delighted to be joined by comedian and my beautiful friend, Francine Lewis, who's here to share with us her upcoming book, The Last Laugh, and an exciting competition in collaboration with none other than that mean Simon Cowell. Francine,
He's not so mean anymore.
Oh, is he not?
He's not. And do you know what?
Having a child, is it maybe?
Definitely. It's really weird because I really liked Simon. He was nasty. I just found that, I don't know, quite sexy. Now he's way too nice. Way too nice.
That's what they say, isn't it? You get all the nice guys say, I never get any luck with women. And they always say I'm too nice.
Do you know what? The truth is, I've always thought Simon was lovely. He's such a nice guy. Like, when I was doing Britain's Got Talent, I was very, very excited, you know, to meet Simon again because it was the second time I'd actually met him. And I always thought he was such a charming, lovely man.
Of course, you are more recently well known for BGT and your impressions and whatnot.
Do you know what? I do watch a lot of reality TV, a lot of that sort of stuff.
What do you watch?
I love Tory. Whenever Love Island's on. Seriously, honey, 100% definitely. You got to watch Essie. It's all about Tory. Love it, seriously. So I'm always doing, you know, whatever the new reality shows are.
The favourite is Katie Price, and we've got a video. I think we've got a selfie video of us doing.
Have we?
Yeah, we have. From
I'm showing
years ago.
Katiana to Katie Price, which she does amazingly. Come on, Katiana, let's...
No, I don't.
Tatiana!
Come on.
Katie, there's a mixture between Katie Price and Tatiana.
What do you think? I love when people take me off. It shows what a big star I am.
It's the lick of the lips.
The People's Channel. Weekdays on GB News. Wake up to breakfast every day from 6 a.m. Followed by Britain's newsroom at 9:30. At noon, it's Good Afternoon Britain. Followed by Martin Daubney from 3 p.m. Only on GB News. The People's Channel. Britain's news channel.
Join me, Nana Akwe, for an informative, interactive news programme with a difference. It's fun.
No, he didn't say that, Dave.
I'm so surprised.
I think there's an element of truth to that.
Join me from 3 p.m. every weekend, only on GB News, Britain's news channel.
We're proud to be GB News, the People's Channel. And as you know, we always love to hear your views. Now, there's a new way of getting in touch with us at gbnews.com/yoursay. By commenting, you can be part of a live conversation and join our GB News community. You can even talk to me, Bev Turner, or any of the members of the GB News family.
Welcome back to Headliners, your first look at Friday's newspapers. We're going to begin with The Telegraph now, and another dangerous criminal has been taken off our streets. Josh.
Yes, Tory councillor's wife jailed for 2.5 years for inciting racial hatred. This is Lucy Connolly, the Birmingham Crown Court. And
what did she do exactly?
It wasn't very nice what she said. She said set fire to all the hotels.
So she did a tweet.
She did a tweet, and yeah it wasn't good.
No, it's not a nice tweet. Mass deportation now. Set fire to all the effing hotels full of the bees.
It was an unfortunate thing that people did try to set fire to a hotel.
Yes.
It was so it sort of looks. I don't think she's saying I didn't plan for that to happen, and there's no proof of that directly causing it to happen.
Well, that's my.
But it's an unfortunate sequence of events.
No, but that's my worry about this. Is that for me a 2.5-year jail sentence? You would have to prove incitement. You would have to prove that tweet directly caused someone to go and burn down a hotel.
They didn't have to prove it.
No, but my point is they should have.
Oh, they should have to prove it.
We should have something like the Brandenburg test in the US, which would make sure that any kind of conviction for threat of violence or incitement to violence is based on the notion that it has to be imminent and it has to be realistic and it has to genuinely have a causal effect. I don't think you can possibly say that in this case.
No, and I'm not saying that what she tweeted was okay or good or any. I'm just saying that.
And there's serious mitigating factors as well. So
she deleted it apparently in a couple of hours.
Deleted it very quickly, and obviously she's a housewife. Nobody's looking to her for guidance in the universe.
I like housewives.
But she's not got any particular status or trusted status with the government. Unlike Nick Lowles from the racist group Hope Not Hate, who tweeted a lie, an incredibly inflammatory and dangerous lie that men were throwing, basically white men were throwing acid at Muslim women.
Yeah.
And he didn't delete that, and there's footage of Muslim men absolutely furious that this is happening. Of course, it was a lie.
But in that case, Leo, I mean, Hope Not Hate would deny that they were racist, I should first say. But they, yes, you're right. They haven't replied. They haven't apologised. There was no arrests made for that. But again, in that case, I don't think you can prove a causal link.
Did he apologise? Did he apologise?
I don't think. Well, I don't know.
He left it up for a long time, and he said.
But can you prove a causal link? I mean, my view is that in both cases, the Hope Not Hate case and this Tory councillor's wife, you can't prove that those tweets.
Nothing happened to him. She gets 2.5 years. That's a family. That's a life ruined. That's a family torn apart. He gets absolutely nothing. He gets to still work with the government, get taxpayers' money, advising the government. And also, she'd had, just in sort of mitigating context, she had a 19-month-old baby who was sent home in error by a foreign doctor in the NHS that then died. And I think that's it's tragic that she lost her son. And you can understand from her point of view. She sees it as a foreign doctor killing her son. So I think we could maybe use some sensitivity when somebody's been through something so horrifically traumatic. We could maybe see.
People say a lot of horrible things online. My view is just if you don't want to see it, just block them or. Don't put the phone down. It doesn't call. I think if someone trashes a hotel, sets fire to a hotel, or throws acid at someone, they're responsible. They made that choice to do that. You can't go blaming it on some tweet because by doing that, you're mitigating the responsibility of the criminal.
But I think for a lot of people, it's the hypocrisy.
Right, I see, yes.
Of how one thing applies to one group and one group.
I get that
today,
point.
there was a video went out, a young Muslim woman. Basically, I would argue it was an incitement to violence. It was calling for Muslim men. She kept going, men, you have to take action. She kept on repeating, you know what you got to do, men, why I'm saying this is to men. And you're going, well, why are you calling for specifically Muslim men to do it? My point is, if this woman's going to jail, then this other woman should go to jail.
Yeah, no, I understand the point. I do get the point. OK, moving on now to a shock poll from The Express. Leo, you got this?
The turning point for Reform UK as Nigel Farage reveals shock poll puts them ahead of Labour. So Nigel Farage is piling the pressure on Sir Keir Starmer as he warns a new poll shows voters now have a more positive view of Reform than they do of Labour. However, just to caveat that, everyone's negative. So Reform currently has a net positivity rating of -13. But Labour,
still more than Labour.
More than Labour. Labour have plunged to -19, and the Conservatives are on -26. So basically voters don't like anybody. But they dislike Reform the least.
Is it relevant that this poll was taken by a right-wing organisation?
No, I think these the methodologies that are used are pretty solid, and I'm sure that if The Guardian repeated the poll, it would be the same.
OK, interesting. Josh, are we surprised at this? I mean, Labour has taken an absolute tumbling, pretty much every poll that you care to look at.
They have not had a good first 100 days.
That is understating it,
say.
Very much so.
And for me, it's like Labour, they have to get to grips with their hypocrisy.
Yeah.
They have to deal with the culture wars that they pretended were now over.
Even though they've been waging them for however long.
And they got to get to grips with immigration, whether it's illegal or irregular, as they like to call it, and they have to sort that out. And if not, on those issues, they're going to be beaten, and their figures will get worse and worse, and other parties will be able to act on those.
And can you imagine someone like Kemi Badenoch, at PMQs, taking him to task on all this stuff? I mean, he doesn't make a good impression, does he?
And I think there's an idea, a perception that Reform is going to take votes from the Tories. I think it's more likely they're taking voters from Labour, and there's also analysis that shows that Reform could secure up to 17 seats in the Welsh Parliament at the next election, although obviously we're
But that's
fair way
taking it
away.
from the Tories, in that case. That would be beating the Tories. In that particular instance.
Is that right?
Yeah.
But I thought the Tories were pretty much already wiped out in Wales anyway.
Well, the point is Reform would be bigger than Tories in Wales.
OK, well, interesting. Let's move on now to the Daily Mail. Josh, sorry, you've got some crime stats for us?
Oh, yeah. Foreign nationals were accused of 120,000 crimes in the UK last year, data shows. And that's pretty much the gist of the article in terms of they're saying it's assault, drug dealing, shoplifting offences. There's a few things that are interesting.
Where's this come from?
This come from the Mail. Oh, where's it come? Oh,
it's freedom of information.
Yeah, it's freedom of information. But what and Talk, I think it was Talk who uncovered it. But the Mail haven't done any commentary, gone to anyone for quotes. They've just presented this like this is the information as is.
Yes.
And there are people. Who was it who last year was trying to also do freedom of information to fight? Because they've got the data to find out the breakdown of nationalities for different crimes in the UK, and they're not releasing it.
Right.
Of course, that information could be very useful.
Well, I mean, in Sweden, they stopped recording crime by nationality.
Yeah, well, I think the crime statistics weren't complying with the sort of utopian ideology that multiculturalism is an incredible asset to the country. So, when you see certain demographic groups overrepresented in crime stats, you then have to hide that fact.
But Leo,
any groups in particular?
No, can't think of any.
Okay.
No, probably white people. They're the worst.
White men.
White men.
No, but this actually says 120,000 crimes committed by foreign nationals. It doesn't say how many nationals. It could be 2 foreign nationals committing 60,000 crimes each. For all we know.
Could be Lewis. Lewis. There's Lewis.
You know what? Wouldn't put it past him.
Yeah.
I rarely see him during the day. What's he up to?
That's it. We don't know where he is now. Taking lots of selfies. That could all be evidence.
Just going to leave that with you. Anyway, we're going to close this section with the Times now. What's this one? This is about a kind of innovative solution that has the ring of familiarity about it.
So the Netherlands, the country in Europe, is in talks to deport failed asylum seekers to Uganda. This is failed African asylum seekers. So this comes as a Brussels summit on Thursday, which the EU committed itself to drawing up new legislation as a matter of urgency to accelerate deportations and to give a legal basis for return hubs outside Europe. So as well as Uganda, the Dutch and Germans are talking to Uzbekistan to try and set up centres to send rejected Afghan asylum seekers.
And Maloney's got the Albanian thing.
Yep.
So it looks like the EU are changing their tune.
Yeah, I don't know how they got past the EHRC. Like, we couldn't do that. We're not even in Europe. But yeah, I think this is going to make the UK more attractive as a destination for, I mean, I say asylum seekers. Basically, it's people gaming the asylum system to get to the West.
You know what about Australia? That's what they used to do.
Well, they sort of led with the offshore processing, and it was incredibly effective.
I meant when Britain sent all our criminals to Australia.
Right.
That worked really well.
Yeah.
I'm not saying, by the way, that all asylum seekers are criminals, just in case someone misinterprets me.
But there's somewhat of an irony of the EU getting more stringent, laws to deal with illegal migration.
Well, it's almost as though they made a bit of a mistake just not regulating it in the first place.
Yeah.
But you know what? If they act as the buffer, then that will affect UK migration. If they get to everybody before they get to us.
I think people will just go round
Where would they go?
They'll go all the way around the edge of France and then come up here. But I think, mass migration has to be dealt with, because I keep reading in The Guardian that Britain is a horrifically racist country.
Yeah.
And it's unfair that we're exposing that to
I agree, yeah. It's a terrible
overseas.
place to live. OK, so we've reached the halfway point, but don't go anywhere. We're going to be talking about a political backlash, Elon Musk's latest plan for X, and trans ideology in women's cricket.
Hi there, time for the latest update from the Met Office for GB News. Clear spells overnight will lead to foggy conditions for many by dawn, and then it turns increasingly windy ahead of an unsettled weekend. Low pressures approaching for Friday, but ahead of that, the isobars are actually opening out. That means lighter winds overnight with clear spells, temperatures falling away, and with the relatively moist ground already in place, we're going to see mist and fog forming in many spots, but particularly central and eastern and southern England, East Wales as well. So some poor visibility on the roads first thing, a fresher start compared with recent mornings, 5 to 9 Celsius likely. But watch out, if you are travelling during the morning, there'll be some dense and widespread fog around. Not everywhere will get the fog, but where it does occur could lead to some very poor visibility. Away from the fog, some sunny spells across parts of England and Wales, central and eastern Scotland. But for western Scotland, already the first signs of a more unsettled spell arriving with outbreaks of rain and a freshening wind. Likewise for Northern Ireland, the first spell of rain moving in by 8 or 9 in the morning. It turns increasingly unsettled then across northwestern parts of the UK, with the strongest winds expected in the northwest of Scotland, accompanied by heavy rain and high tides. Could lead to significant impacts during the day. Once the fog clears across central and eastern parts, though, it's a fine afternoon. In the Midlands, eastern and southeastern England, sunny skies and 17 Celsius. But a contrast by Saturday morning as the rain moves east, and it's a wet start to the weekend through the Midlands and eastern England. The rain does slowly peel away, but it takes all day in some places. Brighter skies arrive from the west, albeit with a few showers. And then later Saturday, a deep low arrives from the Atlantic, resulting in a very wet and very windy day on Sunday.
Join me, Camilla Tominey, for a frank and honest discussion with those in power that cuts through the spin and gets to the heart of the issues shaping our nation.
You haven't confirmed that you want to stand as leader, but you haven't ruled it out either.
This report basically says that he's not fit to stand trial. Is he indecisive? Incompetent?
I deliver the dose of reality Westminster needs. That's the Camilla Tominey Show at 9:30 every Sunday on GB News.
The People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
Hi there, I'm Michelle Dewberry, and I'm going to take a second to tell you all about my show, Jubes & Co. We start off with the issues of the day. We then bring in both sides of the argument. We get rid of the disrespect. And then you throw me into the mix. And trust me, I'll tell it exactly how it is. And then, of course, the magic ingredient, you at home. We mix it all together, and what have we got? In my opinion, the best debate show in town. Monday to Friday, 6 till 7 on GB News, Britain's news channel.
Welcome back to Headliners. It's your first look at Friday's newspapers. We're going to begin this section with Friday's Independent, and someone has pointed out that having kids can hinder your performance at work. I didn't like to mention that, Josh.
Ouch, 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 as I have one of my children here.
He's here.
He's here.
He's in the back room.
I had to, gave him hot chocolate. He's got a comic. It's all good.
Yeah.
Hey,
this is not a creche, Josh.
Yeah, sorry. Hey, Woody, hope you're behaving yourself. Tory MP sparks backlash after claiming leadership hopeful Kemi Badenoch is preoccupied with her children. She has 3 kids, I believe. They're youngish. I imagine one of them must be about 4. I remember seeing her carrying a baby.
Yes. Well, what's wrong with her having kids?
No, absolutely. And that's what a lot of other MPs are going, hey, you can't say she can't do her job because she's got young kids.
So Christopher Chope has said that effectively...
You can't spend all your time with your family.
Well, look, if you're Prime Minister, it is true that you don't always... you're not around much for the family, are you? Didn't David Cameron leave a child in a toilet or something?
Yeah. Unfortunately, the child was returned to him, so he still had to do the parenting. But yeah, I mean, he wasn't really making a sexist point because he was comparing the two candidates, their children. Jenric's got kids, but he was saying Jenric's kids are older, so he's going to be spending less
Oh, so you're saying it's been interpreted as a sexist remark?
Yeah.
But it wasn't. It was just an anti-kid remark.
I think, yeah, it was just, making the point that, young kids need more. But I fully believe that Kemi Badenoch is willing to be a terrible, neglectful parent for the sake of this country.
Well, look, this is the thing. Like, ultimately, if you're going to be Prime Minister, the kids are going to be neglected. They just are. I mean, like, if you watch The West Wing, you can see what happens to the president's kids. One of them gets kidnapped.
And Veep as well.
Veep is another good example.
That's like a documentary.
But, there are obviously Margaret Thatcher. She, Mark turned out great, but you know what I mean? Like, not necessarily everyone else. So I think, it's a reasonable point. It's not necessarily sexist.
Yeah. And I think it shows her dedication that she is willing to take on that role as a mum. And she is willing to sacrifice the happiness and well-being of her children for the greater good.
Yes.
So good for her.
Well, as long as she doesn't bring them to PMQs, which is what you do.
Of course I would.
Yeah.
I mean, look.
You give them a comic on the front bench.
Make sure their phone is charged, and why not?
Unbelievable. Mind you, it wouldn't do anything to diminish the intellectual acuity of the House at the moment.
No.
A few 4-year-olds here and there. No one had noticed.
Screaming and crying.
Anyway, let's move on to this next story. This is The Independent now. Elon Musk, what's he up to?
So X, which is what some people call Twitter, is finally making a long-feared change that enables creeps. So the app has seen a rise in online hate speech since Elon Musk's takeover, but it's not all good news. He's rolling out this controversial update that will allow users to view other people's posts even if they've been blocked. So this is good news for its rivals, like Blue Sky, which nobody's heard of, has said, you can come to us. We've still got the block button, but, people are upset. Nobody's really asked for this. Nobody's been like,
But Elon does this every now and then. He's like, I'm just gonna change it to X. I'm just gonna change the symbol. I'm gonna do this and that. I mean, he could do literally anything he wants.
Yeah.
But originally he was saying he's going to get rid of the block function, which would have been absolutely crazy. But what he's doing is actually just meaning that people can always view public posts, but they can't interact. The major problem you have with stalkers online is that they bombard you with absolute nonsense and libel and all sorts of stuff. But they won't be able to do that even with this new system.
Yeah, but I don't want people to see my stuff if I've blocked them. You know what I mean? I don't want to see people's stuff if they block me.
They can make a fake account and do it anyway.
That's his argument. He says, people can create sock puppet accounts, but make them create a sock puppet account. Make them do that. It's inconvenient. I want them to be inconvenient. I don't mind people seeing my stuff if they've been inconvenienced in some way.
And there is actually a legitimate question here about women online who are stalked obsessively. And I've seen evidence of it. Some men are crazy. And well, I didn't have you in mind necessarily. And then, women are saying, well, hold a minute, now you're letting my stalker see all my tweets. I mean, that's the point.
Yeah, I think this is a bad idea. I don't really understand the point he's trying to make. Is it about free speech?
But it's got nothing to do with free speech.
Well, that's what I don't really get. I think he thinks it somehow is.
I think he gets ideas in his head and runs with it, maybe.
Yeah.
Maybe he's got good, legitimate reasons for doing it.
I think he's got an ex-girlfriend that he wants to see what she's posting.
And he can't work out how to do a sock puppet thing.
Yeah.
But in a way, it's quite fun, isn't it? Because when you block someone, they get really annoyed. And then now you'll be able to say why you block them on your post, and they'll see it. And you can say the most awful things about them.
But you get penalised for blocking, I believe, on Twitter. Like, if you block lots of people, it sort of stifles your account.
Really?
Like, they don't like when you do it. But as sort of you were alluding to, if you follow me on X, you'll know that it's just full of joy. There's joy. So the point is,
you never have rows on X.
No, exactly. So, but I don't want people to share in my love of the world and get all the benefit of my wisdom.
No.
Like, I'm denying them access to the purity of me.
Yeah.
And I don't want to be getting that
You're
stuff.
such a philanthropist. Josh,
well, exactly.
ultimately.
But you cross me.
Yes.
No, Joshy for you. Now they're going to get it. Now they're still going to get it.
Well, I don't think it's as bad as it was going to be. I mean, I think getting rid of the block function would have been a silly thing to do and a disastrous thing to do. But just preventing people from interacting, that will annoy them all the more, and I'm more than happy with that.
Yeah.
You don't block many people, though, do you?
Yeah, I do block loads of people. Just sometimes, if I see somebody moaning that they've been blocked by somebody, I'll block them.
Oh, yeah, I do
just
that
to annoy them more.
Yeah, I know.
I'm not
asking for it, aren't they?
I've blocked a lot more people over the last year, weirdly.
Yeah, I wonder why. OK, let's move on now. This is The Telegraph. England and Wales Cricket Board is protecting women's sports. Well, some of it.
Yeah, this is a blast from the past in terms of...
How so?
Well, just in that I thought we were past this. I thought we
No,
had
we're
evolved.
really not.
We'd evolved as a society, but no, we haven't. English cricket... to ban transgender players at elite level, but not in community games. So basically, no one's happy here. This makes no sense whatsoever, because if you're banning it at elite level, then you're acknowledging that there is an unfairness of biological men being in a female sport. But to allow it at the sort of rubbish levels.
You mean kids and stuff?
Well, kids and whatever. And as they talk about an example here, there was like in a 12-year-old playing in a game with a middle-aged man, biological man, and the harm one umpire got hurt. Can I just say something though? Saying all of that and how angry this makes me, this might be a good thing because cricket is just really the most boring of sports. Well, and if anything more boring than normal cricket is women's cricket. So I think the only chance they have of actually making it watchable is to be letting men in.
I mean, a lot of cricket fans will be very distressed by what you just said, Josh. You said you want to keep your Twitter clean. There's going to be rows tonight.
You're going
to be blocking cricketers.
Yeah.
Because they're pretty vicious.
I'm sure the
cricketing community.
No real cricket fan would like women's cricket.
This is sort of mad because they're kind of admitting that there's an unfair advantage to put men in with women in a game. Yeah. But they don't think it's unfair when it comes to kids or the people who aren't as good as cricket.
Yeah, and it's weird because that's the level, the sort of more amateur level is where they're not going to have the oversight in the changing rooms, you know, because this is a real safety issue. If you've got middle-aged men alone in a changing room with 12-year-old girls, I mean, that's just obviously...
I don't get why we're still having this debate. Isn't it quite obvious that men should not be in women's sports? Yeah. And we don't... Why do we need to have these ridiculous... Everyone knows this. Everyone knows this.
Yeah. You can identify as a woman and fine, we'll all, you know,
fine,
pretend.
do whatever you want.
Go along with
you can't play with the girls.
You can't identify as a female athlete. There's a difference there. You know, I think you're damaging your chance to be included in society if you're pushing and you're making things harder for other, you know, genuine transgender women.
But I get this point that, you know, I think we should be able to have debates about everything. But I don't know anyone who thinks this is a good idea. I only know people who are pretending they do because they're scared of getting piled on like J.K. Rowling.
Can I give you my new theory?
Go on.
I think posh people are more captured.
Yeah, well, they definitely are.
That's it, yeah.
Yeah.
So why do you think posh people are? I think they feel it's like they're guilty for being posh or they feel superior.
I wouldn't like to, you know, psychoanalyse, but there's that theory, isn't there? You know, they've had everything on a plate, and so they think they should stand up for people who are marginalised.
Yes,
I suppose.
okay.
Maybe that's it.
That's it's something that I've noticed. It's posh people being very, very...
Luxury beliefs.
Yeah, but the whole woke movement is a very upper middle class bourgeois movement, you know, which is why they hate working class people. And they think that they are all just racists in waiting. Isn't that basically what it is?
Yeah.
Anyway, we've solved it. Let's move on to this next one. This is, finally in this section, a conductor's conduct unsuccessfully challenged in the Telegraph. Who's got this?
Me. Opera conductor sacked over misuse of pronouns wins unfair dismissal case. And this is National Opera Studio.
Yes.
And this is one of the many complaints about him.
Yes.
But he didn't use pronouns properly. And he's now won his case.
This is Mark Shanahan.
Oh, you mate of his?
No. Okay. It says in the article.
Oh, OK, fine.
But the article doesn't clarify exactly what happened, just that it's something to do with pronouns and something to do with George Floyd.
He's a singing teacher, so it could have been they, them, or it could have been do, dear.
No, it doesn't quite work, Josh. It was a good effort. Leo, but do you know more about this? Because I don't quite get what happened here.
No, I mean, somebody complained, so a Ms. Gottlieb called a meeting with...
Ms. or Mux?
Is it MS?
Oh, well, that's just Ms.
Ms.
Yeah.
In which she referenced George Floyd and the Me Too movement. So she's obviously got a bit of an axe to grind. I can tell a lot of her opinions already just from the fact that she brought that up, and I don't know what relevance it had to conducting opera or whatever. And I don't know, I just think if he misgendered someone, used the wrong pronouns, I think people should make more effort to look like their pronouns. You meet some people and they're like, these are my pronouns, and it's like, well, why am I having to do your transition in my head? It's not my transition.
Yeah, but ultimately, what if they made up a new pronoun? You know, some people have these completely fake Z's and Z's and...
Oh, dear.
Yeah, or if you want to do that...
again.
Yeah, so in those cases, you know, how can you possibly know? But like you say, if you have to announce, maybe there's a problem, it's your problem.
Yeah.
Maybe you can sing it. They, them.
Beautiful. I didn't know you could sing.
Man of many gifts.
I mean, that's very...
Thank you.
The voice of an angel.
They, them, and many gifts.
You're like the new Charlotte Church or one of those people.
Yes, thank you.
Anyway,
I'm going to unblock you now.
Thank you. Good. I wondered what was going on there. OK, so just the final section to go, but do join us in part 4 for new measures against criminal damage, guidance on workplace etiquette, and we'll discover how gardening can be racist. Don't go anywhere.
This is GB News, Britain's news channel.
Catherine Richards and Jake Singleton-Hill featured on the reality show Love is Blind.
Well, Catherine and Jake are joining us now in the studio for Saturday Morning Live. Thank you very much for joining us. And this is perhaps not the end result that people might have thought that they'd be seeing at this point, because you were both on the show, but you didn't fall in love in the pods, did you?
No,
we didn't.
I rejected him.
You guys look great together.
Yeah.
Very, very happy as well. It seemed like you guys were really strong, and it almost seemed like Freddie, after he admitted to you that he'd cheated in the past.
I actually respected the fact that he told me up front. I didn't even want to have that conversation, obviously. That was a conversation that we got told to talk about. And I respected his decision, but I think he felt that I was holding this grudge towards him that she really doesn't like, and which was not, and he knew this, because off camera we had many conversations where I was like, thank you for owning up, like, we can just move on from this. But if anything, I think he just felt guilty the whole entire time, and he put that on me, which is fine, but yeah, there's obviously a lot that people don't see.
So for viewers who don't know, Love is Blind is where you go and seek love and romance, but you don't see who you're speaking to, right?
No.
So, Jake, why did you go on the show?
My parents actually met in a very similar way. So my stepdad was texting my mum. He'd basically stolen the number off of a friend because the friend had met my mum in Blackpool, and they were texting for like 6 months. They'd never met. So that premise of how they got together and the marriage that they had was stunning. And to build a relationship not based on looks before you met, I just found that just incredible.
So do you believe in that concept? Is it lust or love at first sight?
It's weird.
It's a bit of both.
I think, it's definitely a bit of both. And I always say, as you get older, your looks will change, but your personality will stay the same.
GB News, the People's Channel.
This is Britain's newsroom, where your voice matters.
It's just astonishing. With expert analysis and honest opinion, we don't just keep you informed.
We bring you unique perspectives you won't see anywhere else.
Can't argue with any of that. When the news happens, it happens here.
On Britain's newsroom, weekdays from 9:30 a.m.
Only on GB News.
In the GB Newsroom, we bring you the news as it happens.
With our team of dedicated journalists across the UK.
We're ready to keep you up to date with what's happening every half an hour, every single day. Bulletins here on GB News.
The People's Channel.
Britain's news channel.
Nightmare commute? Kick it up a gear with GB News Radio. You can listen online and on DAB+, and on the GB News app. We're also on TuneIn and the Radio Player apps. From the school run to rush hour, get revved up with GB News Radio. We are the People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
Welcome back to the final section of Headliners. We're going to open this with the Daily Mail on Friday. Leo. You know what? You keep going on about being a beautiful woman. It's actually making, it's actually landing now.
I'm going to start calling you Leo from now on.
I think it totally works. Anyway, my favourite comedian, Leo Kurth, who's getting triggered by Midsummer Murders?
So ITV is mocked by viewers after putting a trigger warning over witchcraft on an episode of Midsummer Murders. I mean, if Midsummer Murders, I don't know if you've seen it, but John Nettles, he's sort of a bit older than his Bergerac years. He's calmed down a bit, and he's now investigating quaint murders in a quaint village. But I mean, if Midsummer Murders is triggering, then are we being too sensitive? I think is the question.
Well, I want to know why Josh is eating a cheesecake.
It's an attempt at humour, probably.
It's very dry, but the security guard was giving out cheesecake.
Is this related to the Midsummer Murder story?
Yes.
How?
Did you not see episode 329?
I can't believe you're trying to derail the show like this with cake.
I apologise, but it's really good, and I'm saying it because I want people. It's a subliminal way of letting the audience know that we have security guards. So stop it.
Leo, the cakeless Leo. Okay, so look. A trigger warning about...
We pay them lots of money because they can afford to give cheesecake.
Oh, sorry. When I want you to talk, I'll talk to you.
OK, right.
Witchcraft. Now, is it a parental thing? You know, are they worried about, you know, Because kids watch Midsummer Murders, don't they? It's very tame.
Yeah.
I understand.
And yeah, there could be people from, I don't know, Haiti or something who, might have been exposed to it and their youth and get triggered by this. But what I'm worried about is Halloween is coming up.
Yeah.
And what are ITV going to do if the mention of witchcraft in Midsummer Murders is enough for a trigger warning? Basically, ITV is going to have to replace the entire channel with a trigger warning. They're going to have to ban pumpkins, those little plastic skeletons. It's going to be a
They should also call it
disaster.
just Midsummer.
Yeah, it's because it's got murders
It's got
in
murder
it.
in it. I'm triggered by the murder.
But also, redheads are going to be triggered by the Midsummer bit because that's when they're going to burn in the sun.
There was actually a horror film called Midsummer, isn't there?
There is, yeah.
So it's going to be called nothing.
But then surely, they can't play the Harry Potter films, then? That's all about witches, isn't it? Isn't that about witches? Or wizards?
Wizards.
But isn't a wizard just a female, a male
You are
witch?
like J.K. Rowling's best friend and you haven't even read her book. Like, you give me grief because I haven't read your book. It's not like you
I've
haven't
never
even
met J.K. Rowling, so I don't know the difference between witches and wizards. Oh, wait a minute. A male witch is a warlock, not a wizard.
Yeah.
Okay.
That's what it is.
That's it.
And what's a female wizard? Or do you not get them?
I don't know what that is. What is a female wizard?
It's allowed to play cricket.
Okay. Or sorceress, maybe.
Yeah.
That'll do. Okay. Some kind of hag with a cauldron. Anyway, we're going to move on to the Telegraph now. Climate activists looking for breast milk donations.
Yeah, this is National Gallery bans liquids after Just Stop Oil attacks. They have attacked 5 times, I think, recently in the last year or so. And this is really upsetting because...
Why? You don't need liquids in a gallery.
Well, I don't. Well, speak for yourself, but I like to appreciate art, just like I like to do TV shows, but with a
glass of sherry?
No, with some soup.
With some soup, yeah, fair enough.
And if it's Andy Warhol, it's like I like to immerse myself. Now I can't see Andy Warhol. It's like it brings me closer to the art.
You know what this is? This is like with that shoe bomber guy, and all of a sudden we all have to take our shoes off, or the guy brought the liquid on, we have to take our liquids out. It's like the airport now.
They've ruined it for everybody.
Yeah, and this is going to go on forever. You're never going to be able to take liquid into an art gallery ever again, and there's going to be big, long queues. They've even warned that the ban is likely to lead to delays for visitors. And art galleries are already quite boring, so having to queue up before you go in, I mean, I guess it's getting you into the vibe of standing, doing nothing, thinking about other stuff.
You're going to be parched. You're going to be in there.
Yeah.
You're not
Thirsty
adding
work,
water.
isn't it?
Now, if I may be so bold to point out the hole in this whole new thing that they're doing, strategy.
People are full of fluid.
People are full of fluid. And what are they going to do?
I don't know. Vomit onto Van Gogh.
I was thinking of a different...
Well, if they did it on Jackson Pollock, you wouldn't be able to notice the difference.
You could do it out of other holes as well.
Well, the thing about this, right, what I don't understand, whenever I see these videos of these posh young girls like throwing soup at paintings,
I've seen
no one stops
different videos I was thinking of.
No, different, yes, you're thinking something else. No one stops them. They just let them sort of do it. A bit like on Jerry Springer, where they used to let them fight for a bit before they step in and do something about it.
No, we need armed guards with AK-47s. The only thing that's going to stop a bad guy with a soup is a good guy with a gun.
Yeah, snipers. Snipers. That's what we need. OK, have you finished your cake now, Josh?
Sort
of. Can I just apologise to people at home? This is gross.
No, but they're happy with me. They know that I'm on a diet.
Look, you eating a cake is not good TV.
This is me giving up my... I've been on Atkins for a while, and this is me breaking my... So people are really happy, I think.
Yeah, I'm not happy.
I'm sorry.
We're going to have this out afterwards. I'm not
Sorry.
happy. All right, let's move on now. Telegraph next with news that plants can be a force for social resilience.
Yeah, what's racist today? Today, Latin plant names are racist, warns the University of Michigan, which has spent more than $250 million on inclusivity initiatives since 2016 to find out what's racist. You know, so every week there's not enough things to call racist. They've got to have university departments finding things racist.
Like, we all know what racism is, and you'll know it when you see it. It's not the name of a plant.
It's plant names. So the Latin names for plants may be racist. The University of Michigan has warned in guidance to prevent the influence of colonial power structures
Explain it to me.
on visitors.
Explain why.
Basically, using the traditional combination of an English name and a Latin name on plaques next to the plants could erase other forms of knowing. So if somebody...
How does that work?
Say somebody could be from Papua New Guinea and they call the daffodil something else, you're not representing the Papua New Guinean name for the daffodil.
I've heard this before with Kew Gardens and the idea that because they went around the world taking various, plants from various places, it was a form of colonial conquest. Do you buy that, Josh?
Well, no. And this is no coincidence coming from the University of Michigan, which has been a big report in the New York Times about how their DEI project has massively failed. The last 10 years, they've spent like $250 million.
Yeah, but it's crazy.
And it's actually had the opposite effect to what the intent is.
Well, of
make
course
things
it has,
more
because it's
diverse.
absolute nonsense.
But how can you say that when it's deeply enmeshed within interlocking systems of domination? And that it's complicit in the continued erasure of non-dominant relationships to nature.
Well, sorry,
I mean, this is serious
I hadn't
stuff.
thought of it that way, Leo. But now you've put it like that.
Yeah. I mean, some people would say that the Latin name is just a system of classification. It doesn't belong to a particular country.
Yes.
So, you know, Latin is a universal language, and it's a system that all biologists know and understand, so it works very well. But no, those people are racist.
OK, well, I don't know what to do with that. Let's move on to the Times. Josh, do I have to be sociable at work now?
Yes, you do, and this could be well about you, because you do have to say hello. Office etiquette says the new rules. This is someone who actually sued their boss successfully.
What, because he didn't say hello back?
If I say hello, it would be nice if you just went, oh, hi, Josh, rather than just kind of walking past
Sometimes
me.
I'm busy. Sometimes I don't hear you because I've got my earbuds in.
OK, well...
Right, sometimes I just don't want to talk to you. How about that?
I'm just saying that hurts my feelings.
And so you can sue me now?
Turn to cake.
See you in court. Who's richer?
Yeah, well, I think that they got a point. I think if someone says hello, you should always say hello.
Leo?
Yeah, you should probably say hello back. They also talk about other stuff you're not allowed to do in the office.
Like what?
So, well, there's some stuff I could think of, but basically, you're not allowed to. They say some weird stuff. They say that you should make small talk in the toilet, and you should not make small talk in the
absolutely
toilet.
not. What are you talking
That's
about?
the weirdest thing. This is the Times.
For some reason, I always seem to go to the toilet with Michelle Dewsbury, and it's always a bit weird.
OK, well...
I hope she hasn't noticed.
Well, I hope she's not watching. Let's move on now, because the show is nearly over. Let's have another quick look at Friday's front pages. So the Daily Telegraph is going with Israel kills Hamas leader. The Daily Mail has record label dumped Liam before fatal drugs binge. The Daily Express, pension cash-in panic at Labour budget tax rises. The Eye has got UK public service cuts in budget. Labour ministers accuse Number 10 of complacency. And the Metro, Liam's final tragic hours. And finally, the Daily Star, another Liam Payne story, our kind, funny and brave soul. That's it for tonight's show. Thanks very much to Leo and to Josh. Cressida Wetta will be here tomorrow at 11 o'clock with Lewis Schaefer and Nick Dexon. And by the way, if you're watching the 5am repeat at the moment, please do stay tuned, because now it's time for breakfast.
Who's Nick Dexon?
There will be a light breeze in the morning, leading to a warm front. Boxed heat pumps, sponsors of weather on GB News.
Hi there, time for the latest update from the Met Office for GB News. Clear spells overnight will lead to foggy conditions for many by dawn, and then it turns increasingly windy ahead of an unsettled weekend. Low pressures approaching for Friday, but ahead of that, the isobars are actually opening out. That means lighter winds overnight with clear spells, temperatures falling away, and with the relatively moist ground already in place, we're going to see mist and fog forming in many spots, but particularly central and eastern and southern England, East Wales as well. So some poor visibility on the roads first thing, a fresher start compared with recent mornings, 5 to 9 Celsius likely. But watch out if you are